Hi, and welcome back to my channel, Good Effort Meg. Today I'm going to be starting on a project that I've had planned for a few months and am just about to get started on. So we are going to be sewing some pirate costumes. It might seem weird that I am sewing some pirate costumes in the middle of January, but I promise this is for a reason. My husband Anthony and I have been planning on attending an event for a few months now, and the theme of the event is pirates. We don't know if we're still going to be able to go to the event just because of world events and everything going on. I don't think I need to elaborate on that. But we decided that even if we can't go to the event, we at least want to wear the costumes, put on Pirates of the Caribbean, and just be like pirates around the house. I might even make like little pirate hats for Penny and Tyson. I think that would be adorable. They would hate it, but I think it would be pretty cute. Yeah, this will be my first time making 2 adult-size costumes from scratch. So this is going to be a huge learning opportunity for me. And I just wanted to share the process with y'all because I have a feeling I'm going to make a lot of mistakes and therefore have a lot of lessons learned that I can hopefully pass on to y'all. And without further ado, let's get crafting. These are 2 simplicity patterns. We have 4923 and 3519. This is the shirt that we'll be making for Anthony and the vest and the pants. This is just, I think, a scarf and like accessory. These aren't included in the pattern. And then for myself, I'm gonna be making this shirt for myself. I just liked the frilly cuffs and collar. So for fabrics, I went a little bit unconventional. So these are actually all bed sheets. But as you can see, like I did get this from a secondhand store, so you can see how much I paid for these. And some of the notions that we're going to be needing for this project for both of our shirts and costumes is we're going to need buttons. This is bias taping and some elastic. Again, I picked up all of these from the secondhand store. I got very lucky. I did not think I would find elastic. Now, another item that I picked up from the secondhand store is this huge roll of craft paper. So these little like pizza cutter wheels, these are used for tracing the original patterns onto the craft paper. I've never used these before, but I've seen them, and these were, I think, 15 cents each. So I picked up 2 of them, and I just wanted to give it a try and see if this method works better for me. All right, so now I'm just gonna use this little pizza cutter and essentially trace the pattern, and theoretically, it should leave like little, like almost like perforation marks that I can then trace with a Sharpie and then cut it all out. So let's give this a whirl. So the way I've done this in the past is I actually took a Sharpie and traced on top, which was fine, but Sharpie bleeds like a little bit, so it's not the prettiest outcome, and it doesn't leave this in like perfect condition. Okay, so now that I have this traced out, I'm gonna cut this out, and then I'm gonna write any information that I need on top of it. I'm gonna go ahead and do this for all of the pattern pieces, and I'll be back when all that's done. Okay, so I've run into my first hiccup. So the sheet is not long enough to do the front and back pieces to cut them on the fold. But because the sheet, the bias is on the the perpendicular like this, excuse me, the bias is on the diagonal, which is essentially where it stretches the most. I'm thinking I could fold it in the other direction. So right now I have it hot dog. So if I fold it hamburger, I might have enough fabric to cut it on the fold that way. So we're gonna try that and see if it works. So I just finished refolding the sheet hamburger style, and I think it's gonna get us what we need. I don't know if this is gonna impact like the final result or affect the stitches or the seams or really any of the final product kind of stuff, but I think it will get us where we need to get, and at least it's a solution for now, and we'll just tackle things as they come. So okay, so I have finished cutting out the fabric pieces for both Anthony's shirt and my shirt. This white bit, this is just the interfacing, so my next step is I'm gonna go ahead and iron on the interfacing, just so that'll be done for both of them and I don't have to stop while I'm sewing and worry about that. So that's the next step. So I'm just using, this is a serger that was passed down to me from my Mima. I'm still getting the hang of using it. This will only be like the third time I've tried using it. So I apologize if my technique is not perfect, but yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and serge some edges. Okay, so I got that piece stitched on. So the next step is to essentially cut down this center line and then fold that back piece that we just sewed on to the front. Now that is clipped. Okay, so as you can see, I just flipped it over this facing piece over onto the back side. And then I'm essentially just gonna kind of finagle it until the seam is on the wrong side of the front of the shirt, if that makes sense. So basically, you shouldn't be able to see this seam right here. And then I'm gonna pin it all in place and then I believe baste it, but one step at a time. But I just wanted to show you what this should kind of look like at this stage. Oh yeah, that is a lot smoother. So this is after I pressed everything on the wrong side and on the right side. I'm pretty happy with that. It's not super straight, but it's a pirate shirt. So this next bit calls for cord to be pinned into place on the shirt, and I just have some of this spare rope that I used for a bag that I made my mom, and it's super thick, so I'm going to essentially unravel it and I think just use one width amount, if I can find the end of it. Oh, there we go. So I think I'm just going to use one little cord of it. So I need 2 equal length pieces. So let's do that. Probably need to go grab the cat tree. That's why I normally have it behind me over here, because when I'm working on projects, they like to sit right in front of the sewing machine or right on top of my project. To put this on the outside, which doesn't really make a whole lot of sense to me. but I'm assuming it's going to be captured under the collar. All right, now that I have top stitched that bit there, the next step is to baste this cord into place. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and then tie knots at this end, and then kind of tuck these away so they don't get caught up in anything else. All right, so the next step is going to be pinning the back to the front at the shoulder seams. Okay, so something I just realized that I did, pretty silly, is I actually did all of this on the back. So this is actually the back piece, and this was my front piece. So that stinks, but I think because the front or back is gonna have this piece, I'm just gonna kind of roll with it, and then the back is just gonna have like a lower neckline, and we're just gonna see what happens. I mean, I guess it makes sense. That would have been a better guide to line up those marks, but you know, we're here. Let's just see what happens. And if it ends up being a disaster, so be it. Okay, so I just made Anthony try this on, and I think even though this neckline here, which is the back, is gonna be too high, I think with these little cords and this deep cutout, I'm hoping it's not gonna be a big deal, because it didn't hit him too terribly high. And then the back, I'm just hoping that when I put the collar on, as long as I put the collar on the right direction, I might be able to kind of hide some of these mistakes. Okay, so this is the piece that has the interfacing on it, and you can see I pressed all the way around so you can see a nice crease. And then this will be the facing part of the collar, and we just had to press the notched edge also at 1.5 centimeters, and then I trimmed that to 1/4 inch. So that's why that looks so short. Now the next step is to connect these two. All right, so the next step is for us to stitch on 3 sides, and we're gonna leave this side open and its right sides together. So you can see it is nice and pressed with crisp edges. Okay, so my channel wouldn't be called Good Effort Meg, you know, for no good reason, but I just realized I'm supposed to add the gathering stitch to this neckline, not the neck piece. So same thing I did on the other one, but I cut out the stitch from this piece, and I'm going to add the gathering stitch to this. So I'll be right back. Alright, so now that I have trimmed all of those gathering stitches, I am going to stitch this down, and I think I'm going to do a technique called stitch in the ditch, which means I will just be stitching here, so it'll be virtually invisible, and it'll hold this facing piece down. Okay, so the collar is finished. You can see it's arguably one of the better collars I've done. So I'm pretty happy with the way that's turned out. We even have our little stringy bit, and like I was suspecting, the collar did capture that, which is good. So next is to start on the sleeves. So now that I have stitched the sleeves on, we're going to pin up the side and down the sleeve and stitch the shirt closed, essentially. For our next step, we're going to narrow hem. This is the slit in the sleeve. So basically all I think I'm gonna do is just fold under the part that was serged and then fold it over again. And I think that'll get me a nice little seam. Alrighty, so the next step is to press under. This is our ruffle piece. So I'm going to go around and all of the unnotched sides, which is all the sides except for this one that has that little triangle bit on it. And I'm going to press under 1 centimeter on each to basically hem it, and then add a gather stitch to the notched edge. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Okay, so the next step is to pin. This will be the wrong side of the cuff, so you can see here all my markings for like the buttonhole and such. And we're just gonna gather up the ruffle and we're gonna pin it between these 2 dots and line up the center with this notch here. So overall, I'm really happy with the way that this shirt came out. Despite all the mistakes that I made along the way, I think it came out very clean looking, very not as homemade as some of my other projects have looked. Looking at it like more closely, I realized, like, for instance, the cuffs, I should have flipped the button and buttonhole on one of them just so they were mirrored. As you can see, I did them in the same exact direction, but I'm really happy with the way that this came out. The good thing about working with bed sheets is, you know, they kind of hold up pretty well and you can wash them pretty easily and not have to worry about it. And now to see what this looks like on Anthony. How's it feel?
Yarr. I'll get my weapon. Yarr.
Well, I hope you guys enjoyed watching Anthony's pirate shirt come together. I'll be working on mine as well, so be looking forward for essentially part 2 of this video of our pirate shirts. And if you did enjoy, consider subscribing to my channel. I will be pushing out more videos like this of me doing crafts and Anthony and I up to our antics. And hopefully I get lucky here soon and find some electronics in a dumpster somewhere. So it's been a bit of a dry spell lately with that. But I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day or evening or wherever you are. And I'll see y'all in the next video. Bye!